Hey, friends, welcome back to Living on the Verge. How are you? Happy Friday, happy summer. I hope you're having a fantastic week. I'm Virginia, and this week I'm coming to you as a very tired, but very happy and very fulfilled Nana. If you've listened for any length of time, then you know I have three grandsons. Two are school aged, Ethan and Zeke. And last Friday, I had what I thought was a simple enough idea. I invited them over for a sleepover. Well, somewhere between Friday and Monday, that sleepover, it turned into a full-blown 2-day Nana Summer Staycation adventure camp, complete with opening ceremonies, scorecards, medals, challenges, prizes, even a Nana store, soccer competitions, water balloon fights, and of course, closing ceremonies. And if you're wondering how long I had to plan all of this, about 3 days. So today I want to tell you what happened. I want to share the experience with you, what surprised me, what I learned about these boys, and what they reminded me about what really matters. So let's get into today's episode. Let's start off with how sleepover became a camp. So, Ethan was going to be gone on a week vacation, and Zeke was going to be off school and on summer vacation and here without his cousin. So I told him I would love to have him over for a sleepover. And then Ethan and I will have a separate Nana Ethan sleepover later on in the summer. But since Ethan was away, Zeke and I would have this plan. Well, Ethan ended up not going away on the other vacation that he had planned on going to. And I ran into him Friday because I spent all last week with my other joy, Ezra, and I went to go drop him off, and Ethan happened to be over visiting with Zeke. And so I pulled Zeke aside and I said, "Hey, Zeke, I know you're supposed to be coming over on Tuesday. And so what do you think, since Ethan didn't go, about inviting him to join us for the sleepover?" Well, no sooner did I get "join us" out of my mouth that he started nodding and really got excited about the idea. So we went over, we asked Ethan if he wanted to join, and he said of course he would without hesitation, and he looked at his dad for approval, and his dad gave the good old 10-4, and so we had a sleepover planned for Tuesday. So I come home and I'm thinking this is going to be great. And although there's a little bit of a change in in plan, we don't really have to get this completely blown out of proportion. But then again, I'm me. So before long, I'm researching, what should we do? Should we go somewhere? Should we have a big Disney day? Well, realistically, there wasn't enough time. And quite frankly, that wasn't really in the budget for what I was trying to achieve 2 mere days away for a sleepover. So I didn't want it to get blown out of proportion. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to challenge myself. What if you have a limited budget? And it's not about how much money you could spend, but what you could create as far as fun and excitement and memories. And so I decided I wasn't going to try to do a big Disney day or some huge extravagant adventure. And little by little, I started thinking about, what do these boys enjoy? I know them pretty well, and I know that they're into soccer and they just like spending time together. And one thing led to the next, and before you know it, I was busily creating the Nana Olympics. And it started off with, okay, I'll have a couple of events down at the soccer field. It's kind of a fun walk. And one thing led to the next. And then I realized, well, if I'm going to have events, then I'm going to need scorecards. And so next thing you know, I'm building scorecards. And if we're going to have scorecards, well, then somebody has to win and somebody has to lose, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not from that school of everybody wins. I know that it's important for everybody to feel involved and included and nourished and be fulfilled by the experience. But the truth in life is there are winners and there are losers. And I am not one who believes that you should raise your children to believe that everybody wins. So once I realized that that had to be a part of the experience as well, well, then of course we created medals and awards. And then what are we going to do with these points that we're building with all of these events? Well, it'll be boring if we just wait till the end and then we get awards. So what if we implemented shopping? And the Nana store idea was born. I mean, it went from let's have the kids over to sleepover. And normally what we do is we have something to eat, we have popcorn, we watch a movie, we go to bed, they get up, we have breakfast, we putz around, they go home. It's so much fun. It's a win. We're all fulfilled. But just to give you an idea of what it went from to what it was quickly becoming. And the printing started and the planning continued. I mean, you guys, at one point, I had a spreadsheet for the kids. There were multiple drafts of the agenda. There were paper cutters involved, signs made, packing tape was procured. And oh my gosh, the printing. Did I print? I was creating scorecards like the Olympic Committee was coming to inspect the event for me or something. It was kind of silly. And at some point, I then decided, well, there is no Olympic Committee coming. So I therefore am the self-declared commissioner of the games. I may have actually spent more time planning than the participants spent any time worrying about it. But for me, that was part of the fun. And also, as an aside, it gave me pause to realize that when I get an idea, I have a tendency to put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that it's memorable and that it's successful and that it comes across the way I intended for it to be. And I mean, there were badges and meals and snacks and fun things to call things. And the ideas just kept coming and coming. At some point, I remember contemplating a tent and camp t-shirts. Okay, Virginia, calm down. You have 2 days to plan this. And I realized that I had completely lost perspective, because not only did I have opening ceremonies and scorecards, but I was now referring to Ethan and Zeke as founding members of Camp Nana, as if this was some prestigious organization that would somehow have chapters across the country. I'm just kidding. I don't take myself that seriously. But honestly, there were founding member certificates, because they'll always be the founding members. No matter what happens with future camps, they were the first. And here's what's funny. By the end of camp, I realized that the things that I worried about when I started the whole planning for this were not the things that the boys remembered. So let's get into talking about the actual camp. And I want to start off with talking about my firstborn grandson, Ethan. What a gem. I just love him so much. I mean, listen, we bonded over so many moments, and they were genuine and they were natural. First of all, that kid's love for music was something to really have a conversation about. And I forgot to ask him when he was here, but when you listen to this podcast, Ethan, text me and let me know if you're willing to come back on and talk about your performance down at Vale headquarters a few weeks back, where you killed it on your drum rendition of Smells Like Teen Spirit, because I still can't stop thinking about it. And I think that the audience would love to hear a little bit more about how you suddenly picked up the drums and got so good so quickly. And you're also playing guitar. It's pretty impressive, Ethan. But throughout the course of camp and over different moments, whether it be when we were developing the playlist, and we'll talk about that a little later, or when we were hanging out in the spa, we would just bond over music. He would say something like, you know that song? Or, Nana, do you hear the hi-hat? Or, listen to the timing of this. And it just melted my heart, because music has always been so important to me. And it made me realize that by handing down my love of music to my boys, they have handed it down to their boys. And it's the gift that just keeps on giving. But this guy, I mean, he is just, to me, Ethan, the first thing you notice is that he's just got a really beautiful spirit about him and a really good, genuine heart. And he still has that childlike joy when he discovers something new. Like his amazement when later in the evening, I showed him my vinyl copy of Thriller, and his face just lit up. He couldn't believe I actually owned one. And I was like, dude, that's my music. And I actually have a turntable. So I got to show him a vinyl on a turntable for the first time. And the joy and the excitement and true fascination as he happily moonwalked around the house for most of his free time while listening to my not so pristine vinyl copy of Thriller. And he was also able to learn how vinyl skips and how the needle just stays there spinning endlessly when a record finishes playing. It was really cool to watch. But that is not to say that he does not have a competitive spirit, because he himself is a highly competitive individual, self-proclaimed, and he has a love for not just soccer, but a love for all sports. He talked about for, a while how he intends to play baseball after football. And the kid is competitive and tries hard and is learning to become a really good team player. And it's really cool. He's got a desire to win. And as much as he really prides himself in lifting everybody else up, it was not lost on me how much the MVP award really meant to him. So let's listen to what Ethan had to say about how it felt to be awarded the MVP. Which award would you say you were the most proud of?
Certificate and medal. It was the MVP award. I felt like I actually did. It felt like the World Cup almost.
I think it's pretty great that Ethan was able to experience that moment. I was so proud of him for actually realizing that it was a big accomplishment what he achieved. And here I was worried that they would think that the medals and the ceremonies would be silly, but instead they did feel important to them, and they did recognize that they worked for something and they achieved something. And it wasn't lost on me throughout the course of the 2 days just how encouraging he was with Zeke, how he celebrated him. Way to go, bro. And that was a nice kick. And oh my gosh, you've really, really improved, Zeke. And how Zeke would reciprocate with thanks, bro, or that's really helping my game. And I just couldn't believe the true love and camaraderie that these two had for each other. And I shouldn't say I couldn't believe it because, of course, I believe it. They're close, but it was just something beautiful to watch in real time how they celebrated each other. And Ethan had told me that he is a self proclaimed sore loser. Ethan, you're wrong about that, friend. I don't think you are the sore loser that you claim to be. Because when I interviewed Ethan afterward, one of the things that struck me the most was what he wanted future campers to know. Listen to this. And do you have any final words for any future campers?
Future campers, just don't be like rude or like teasing. It's just have fun, be responsible, and be safe.
When I asked him what mattered, he didn't talk about winning. He talked about kindness. He talked about having fun. And honestly, that summed up the entire camp. I want to tell you a story about a moment that just warmed my heart. Ethan and I were having a conversation and we were talking about honesty. And I said to him, Ethan, you could always be honest with me. And he almost kind of stopped me and grabbed me by the arms and kind of looked me in the eye and said, do you really mean that? You'll never lie to me? And I said, no, of course I'll never lie to you. And he said, thank you, Nana. That means a lot. And I told him it was always important to be honest. And so that moment passed. And then the next day, we're having a conversation at In and Out. Again, just about, I love that you guys could just have fun and so on and so forth. And then his food got there and he had ordered 2 plain burgers. And I mistakenly ordered 2 plain cheeseburgers. And when they brought his food, he kind of looked at me and he kind of hesitated. And I said, is everything okay? And he said, well, honestly, I didn't want cheese on my burgers, but it's okay. And he was just about to try to make it okay. And I said, that's okay. I can go get these fixed. That was my fault. I misunderstood. And he said, really, Nana? And I said, yes, I told you you could be honest. And you could see the relief in his eyes. And that moment for me was absolutely priceless. Oh boy, I'm getting Nana in this moment, but it was priceless to me because I realized that this is so much more valuable than me correcting his food order. I am building agency with him and trust. And all I ever want is for my grandkids to know that they could trust me, that I'll always be honest with them, and that they can feel safe, and that all I want is for them to be happy and successful in life. And that moment, I felt like it was a win, and I was achieving that. So, I got a little bit choked up telling you guys that story, but I'm going to leave it in because I think it's important for me to be authentic, and that's what I feel. It's pure, unadulterated joy as I share this story with you because it makes me realize that both Ethan and I at that moment realized that our relationship is becoming something bigger than just Nana and grandson, and that we are both becoming trusted people in each other's lives. And that's pretty special. The funny thing is, neither boy cared about half the things I thought they would care about. But there's one thing that absolutely delighted Zeke. So I'm getting ready to open the Nana store. and I come out of the office with 2 swag bags, and I announce that Living on the Verge podcast is happily sponsoring the store activities and events. And as such, I have these exclusive swag bags from BravoCon 2025 that not very many people at all in the world own, and that you had to be at BravoCon 2025 to be able to procure. But because the Living on the Verge podcast was sponsoring Camp Nana, Ethan and Zeke both got a swag bag. And it was really cute because he was especially excited that it wasn't just merch, it was like exclusive merch. I can't wait to tell mom that we copped exclusive merch, were pretty much his exact words. And what was so cool is by this time, we're, almost 50% into the duration of camp. And so these decisions, they're coming on the fly in the moment. And these are things that I just thought, let's do this. This will be fun. And so for it to hit was kind of a win for me. And so I talk about Zeke in the story, but I need to tell you about Zeke because Zeke is my character. He was my youngest grandson for 9 years. He has recently given up that title to his brother, the love of his life, the joy, the thing that brings him so much happiness to talk about. His little brother, Ezra, is now our baby of the family. But Zeke is something really special. He is a mixture of intellect and mischief, and he has this unapologetic way of being straightforward and honest, even if the message is hard to hear sometimes. But his candor is mind-bogglingly refreshing. And it extends to himself, too. It's fascinating. He is highly self-aware. He is creative, clever. He has this little devious laugh that just cracks me up. He's got this look in his eye when you know he's about to do something that is a little bit mischievous, but yet he has this determination. He is determined to become the best he can be at whatever he sets his mind to. And he doesn't confuse that with the best ever. He doesn't delude himself into thinking he could be the best insert whatever in the whole world. But he knows that with effort and focus and determination, he could achieve his best. And it's just really insightful to see a 9-year-old boy have this much self-awareness. So listen to what Zeke had to say. I would like to know how you are feeling after having just been awarded the Athletic Achievement Award, Mr. Zeke.
I feel really good because, like, I normally whenever I play soccer, people normally don't call me that good, and sometimes they call me like not that good. So I'm trying to prove them wrong, and by earning that athletic award, I took a big leap forward in proving them wrong and telling them and into showing them that I can play soccer.
Now, as a Nana, that was a little tough to hear because I want to go beat up all the boys on the schoolyard who make my grandson feel like he's not that good. But the real gold in what Zeke said is that he knows who he is as a person, and he doesn't BS himself about what kind of a person he is, what his capabilities are, but he also moved me by the fact that he's not afraid of hard work to get where he wants to go. And I was blown away. Zeke came over when Ezra was born, so just 3 months ago, and spent a couple of days here with me. And we went to the very same soccer field, and I pretty much let him run around out there and do whatever. And when I tell you the amount of progress I've seen, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, even Ethan was like, wow, you're way better than you were last time we played, or wow, good aim. And his accuracy, his speed, all of the things that I know he's working hard on have improved significantly. And it's really, really great to see. So keep up the good work, Zeke, because your hard work is paying off. And it's really great to watch just how badly he wants to improve, because you could see the fire in him to kind of set out to do something, work hard to get it, and then have the achievement at the other end. And it's funny because one of my favorite moments, all of that said, when I think about Zeke, wasn't on the soccer field at all. And it wasn't during an award ceremony. It happened in the Nana store. So let me tell you the story real quick. Zeke noticed that Ethan had an eye on a particular prize. And Ethan had gone off to the bathroom, and without saying anything, he came over and he got me. And he said, I want to buy this for Ethan. And he spent his own Nana bucks and bought that item for Ethan. And so what are Nana bucks? Well, the boys earned Nana bucks throughout camp and could spend them on prizes from the Nana store. Let's let Zeke explain.
Which Nana bucks could be used to buy amazing, what are they called? Prizes in the Nana store, which
is pretty fun, really.
Yeah, which I think I bought a little bit too much cones. Yeah, how many? 27.
And of course there was a Nana store, because apparently I'd completely lost my mind by this point. But seriously, is that not the most precious moment ever? I mean, the love for this kid to work all day in the heat to try to earn these bucks that he was so excited about spending at this store that had opened 2 hours past the time it was supposed to, because we were running a little late on the schedule, et cetera, et cetera. And then for him to use a substantial amount of his Nana bucks to buy something for his cousin, because his cousin was kind of trying to save his bucks, because they both knew that the store would be open again the next day. I mean, it wasn't the prize. It was what that said about the type of young men these boys are becoming, and how much that means to the legacy that I've tried so hard to build all these years. So, moms and dads, good job. Way to go. Thank you. A super proud Nana moment.
In my opinion, the funniest thing is that I got the string cheese. I was eating it whole without stripping off a piece, and
You scandalized us forever. Yes, we know. Nobody eats string cheese like that, Zeke. There's something wrong with that.
And Ethan was Ethan, my cousin over there, or over wherever, is was hitting me with the Homer Simpson. He was like, "Why you little?" holding me by the neck. And same thing when I ate my Kit Kat without breaking them apart.
That was also very troubling. Oh my gosh. You see what I mean? Some of these memories that we are taking away from these 2 days together are completely random. They weren't on the agenda, they weren't in the plan. I didn't even know if Zeke likes string cheese when I bought it. These guys go in and out of liking food. And I remembered at one point, one of them didn't like cheese again. And so who knew? But those were the moments that are going to be the stories that all three of us remember and laugh about forever. And what makes it so special is it's our own special story. And nobody besides the three of us, the three founding members, LOL, have that story to share. And you guys, that kind of brings me back to what this is really actually about. What the lesson that I'm learning today is. And it's a good one. It's what the kids will actually remember. And that is that the excitement, the vibe we had going for the entire time we were together was something not just they were enjoying, but I was enjoying too. And we all wanted more of it. It was very early in the camp that they started asking, hey, Nana, can we do this again? And can we have another one later this summer? And are we coming back and doing it again next year? Or next year we should have. And I kept saying things like, I'm so glad you guys are here. And they would say, me too, or I'm so glad we're together, or they would say, I'm having so much fun. And this would just happen organically and randomly while we were sitting there during free time doing crafts, or, while we were in the spa. And when I interviewed the boys afterwards, they didn't talk about the scorecards or the schedules or how well I had planned everything out or the logistics of the entire camp. When I asked them what the moments that they remembered and that they are going to cherish, and even the ones that they didn't maybe love so much, they talked about things like hitting the crossbar, going to In-N-Out, people who don't know how to properly eat string cheese and Kit Kats, for the record, and the water balloon competition that erupted into a water balloon fight and may have been started by me. Wink, wink. They talked about winning awards, which ones mattered, laughing together. And I realized something. I spent a lot of my life trying to make things perfect. Perfect for my husband, perfect for my kids, perfect for my grandkids, perfect for myself. But the boys reminded me that what people usually remember is how they felt, not how organized I was or how beautiful my paperwork was. And it was pretty great, by the way. I had a folder and a badge and everything. But I digress. Not whether every detail went according to plan. We remembered connection. And so what I learned is that the lesson wasn't do less. Even though at first I thought it might be, I woke up that second morning thinking, how am I going to get through field day? My back is killing me, and I may be too old for this camp commissioner stuff. No. The lesson was start sooner. I don't need to become a smaller version of myself. And I certainly don't need to stop creating experiences. I'm pretty sure it was a big hit. I don't need to stop being extra. Extra is my specialty. But maybe I need to give myself more runway, more latitude, more grace, more time, because I was exhausted when the kids left. And if I'm being really honest, I'm still pretty tired. The planning nearly exhausted me, so much so that don't tell Ethan and Zeke, but the Nana store is still up and open. The popcorn buckets are still sitting on the counter, and the towels from the spa party are still laying in the laundry room waiting to be laundered. But the camp itself filled me up in the best way. And there's a big difference. At the end of the interviews, I asked the boys to rate the camp. Here's what they had to say. In closing, would you please give Camp Nana a score from 1 to 10, 1 being I will never ever come back to camp again, 10 being can camp start again tomorrow?
I'm gonna break them at 20.
Oh, so on a scale of 1 being where are my parents and when am I leaving this place, to 10 being can camp start again tomorrow, where would you rate Camp Nana for the first summer staycation adventure?
200 million.
Well, my friends, there you have it. What can I say? I don't think Camp Nana is ever getting a better review than that. Thank you so much for listening. Go make some memories. Enjoy your summer. And remember, people usually won't remember every detail. That's what I learned. But they will remember how they felt when they were with you. Until next time, I'll be here, living on the verge.